Humanity in the Face of Apathy, Dorothea Dix and Asylum Reform.
I am Amy Munson, and I will be playing a Massachusetts legislative representative.
I'm Marissa Kingsley, and I'll be playing Dorothea Dix.
I'm Samantha Yee, and I'll be playing Government Architect, Almshouse Master, and Suffering Person.
Good afternoon, gentlemen of the Massachusetts Legislature. As you know, the Enlightenment sparked the ideas of freedom, self-determination, and equality that our great country was founded on. Additionally, it inspired trust in science rather than reliance on one's faith, which brought a surge in scientific studies, including those relating to the treatment of insanity. Europe has seen considerable reform in their asylums as of late, as reformers like William Tuke lobby for the more humane treatment of the insane. Apparently inspired by the Enlightenment and European reform, Miss Dorothea Lynn Dix has submitted her own memorial. Here I have Miss Dix's appeal on the state of the insane and idiots of Massachusetts, submitted in the year of 1843. I respectfully ask to present this memorial, believing that the cause, which actuates to and sanctions so unusual a movement, presents no equivocal claim to public consideration and sympathy.
When I was in England, I witnessed the reforms of the conditions of almshouses in Europe. I was inspired by the ideas of restoring the insane to their respectable selves and productive citizens of this nation. The conditions of the insane and idiots who are being kept in almshouses and prisons are egregious and dehumanizing. I can't fathom standing idle as poor wretches are condemned to the cold prisons and streets they are kept in.
Welcome to the Newburyport Almshouse, Miss Dix.
Thank you. I'd like to take a look around if you don't mind.
Why don't I show you to the other building?
Thank you, but I think I'd like to see the basement, sir.
I'm not sure that would be appropriate, Miss Dix. There's nothing much to see down there.
I heard there's a woman being kept down there, though.
I would not suggest it, Miss Dix. She is dangerous and unapproachable.
If you will not show me, I will take the keys and go down there myself.
Why am I consigned to hell? I used to pray and read the Bible, and I have done no crime in my heart. Why, God, hast thou forsaken me?
I have seen many hard truths in these almshouses. They are forced to live in filthy, humid, cramped spaces where they are treated like criminals. In places like these, they are not able to be cured of their illnesses. Their ailments grow worse by the day. Dix's strong Christian beliefs stemmed from her upbringing as the daughter of a preacher, and her unrelenting vigor for reform compelled our government to take a more active role in improving the conditions of the insane. Her value of all humanity stemmed from her devotion to God, and she believed that the insane could be cured of their illnesses with compassion from society. Although she garnered some respect for her cause, the many jailers and almshouse masters who provided the housing for the insane that Dix scorned were frustrated with her critiquing of their establishments.
After my memorial to the Massachusetts State Legislature, I received much support from public figures like Senator Charles Sumner, who corroborated my accounts of the almshouses. But yet the public didn't support my idea of providing asylums for all who needed them, and poorhouse masters accused me of slander for advocating for the insane and idiots.
Miss Dix, you cannot blame our establishment for the conditions that the insane are being kept in. Your memorial speaks of complete falsehoods of how we treat our residents. We go far to learn more about how to properly care for our patients, and we honestly try to provide them with humane conditions. You only slander our work. Surely the government is more to blame than we are.
I recognize that you're doing the best you can, and I'm not saying the government isn't to blame, but you cannot make me your enemy when we supposedly hold the same ideals. You too have seen the harrowing effects of society's cruel sovereignty over the insane, keeping them hungry and suffering, but you have been desensitized to the squalor surrounding you. How can there be so few in the United States protesting this negligence and documenting its effects? I only ask that the insane and idiots be treated the same as you and I.
Miss Dix not only exposed the mistreatment of the mentally ill in spite of the apathy many exhibited toward the insane, she took steps to correct it by soliciting asylums to be built to ensure that the insane receive appropriate treatment and care. She fought the idea that insanity was the fault of the insane person, when it was society that first inflicts the wound, first imbues the whole heart and mind with evil, and then turns a blind eye to the plight of the insane sufferers.
Ms. Dix, here are the building plans for the new government hospital for the insane.
These plans are simply insufficient for curing them. You must know that the architectural design is crucial for caring for the insane. I insist that you add more windows. The insane need proper light and ventilation for their human sins to be absolved. Should there not be screens on the sleeping porches?
I do not see the significance of such features.
The patients required must be able to get natural light and fresh air during the sweltering summers. Where are the plans for a heating system during the winters?
There are no such plans. Surely the idiots will not know how hot or cold it is in any building we make for them.
You cannot believe that. They are human. Of course they will notice the unbearable conditions you designed for them. The insane cannot be cured unless their living arrangements allow them to. I will take these plans home and revise them to the standards of a proper asylum.
As Ms. Dix continued to appeal to legislators to build more proper asylums and ensure that hospitals like the Government Hospital for the Insane provided better conditions for the mentally ill. She had significant influence over the plans for this specific hospital and ensured that the mentally ill were given the luxuries of nice views, ventilation, and a proper heating system. She advocated for asylums that separated each of the various classifications of mental illness, with generous amounts of space and proximity to a work environment that would expose them to a productive way of life while simultaneously curing them of their mental illnesses. Dix's diagnosis for the mentally ill stemmed from Christian beliefs of morality and sin, and she thought that mental illness was a state of crippling unproductivity that could be cured with certain treatments and asylums specifically tailored to patients' needs. In 1843, there were only 23 asylums in the United States, and by 1880, there were 123, many of which Ms. Dix assisted in opening.
Despite Dix's initiatives to better life in asylums, there was still a clear stigma against the concept of mental illness in the 1800s that took the form of admitting supposedly insane people to asylums against their will. Enforcements like the 1875 Packard's Law allowed sane people to be legally declared insane based on the biased judgment of a jury.
Dix's idea of what asylum should be is far from what we know today, and patients often reported that doctors gave them unknown medication and often lied to the patient's family about their well-being.
Most of Dix's asylums were closed due to malfunction and deterioration. However, Dix's standing up to government neglect was one of the first steps in America's growth toward accepting and helping the mentally ill live better lives.
Dorothea Dix persevered in her thorough efforts to document the poor treatment of the mentally ill and enact changes in the asylums and almshouses across the United States.
Although she did not understand mental illness in the way that we do today and failed to make permanent changes to the 1800s medicinal practices of curing the mentally ill, Dix was the imperative leader of a minority that fought the idea that the insane were inhuman and deserved to be treated like criminals. Dix's improvements to the lives of those living with mental illnesses broke the inhumane status quo for asylums in the U.S. and paved the way for decades of better treatment of the mentally ill, as Dix exposed the mistreatment of individuals with mental disorders, legally reformed states' cruel attempts at containing them, and diminished the idea that the mentally ill should be treated as criminals.
Thank you.
Thank you.